Hi guys, welcome to Unit 2. So last unit we talked about analyzing, collecting and analyzing our data. When we analyze it, we find the mean, median, mode, and range, and we use those numbers to represent our entire population and maybe even compare two different populations. We're going to be doing a lot of the same standards in Unit 2, but we're going to be talking more about how we present our data, creating graphs and charts and everything to give a visual display of our data, and then also more into the analyzing and comparing different populations. Today we're going to be talking about two ways to display data, bar graphs and circle graphs. They're very similar, so we can knock them both out in one video. And remember, I need you to take Cornell notes with anything on the top on the left side, and anything that is in green today is going to go on your right side. So first we need to talk about numerical versus categorical data. Numerical data is data that is numbers. That's the stuff that we've talked about already. You use statistical questions to collect numerical data. So how tall are all of the sixth graders? We have the measurable, the variety, and population. What shoe size does everyone at Lift for Life wear? Today we're going to be talking about categorical data, which is a little bit different. It's stuff that you're probably already familiar with. Data that is not numerical, where the answer is not a number. So when you ask the question, it's not a measurable question. So categorical data would be like, what's your favorite color? Where do you like to go on vacation? Oops, that's supposed to have a question mark at the end there. Where do you like to go on vacation? You know, what kind of pets do you have? That kind of stuff, where they're answering with a word, not necessarily a number. All right, so bar graphs are used to compare the frequencies or amounts of categorical data, and I want you to write that down just like I have it there. So you have bar graphs on the left, and then the green on the right. So this is an example of data that we would use to make into a bar graph. So we have the data here, the answers, and then just the number of people who answered that over here on the right. So you ask someone, what's your favorite color? They say red. 22 students answered red. 15 students answered blue, 11 for green, and 5 for black, 2 for pink. Okay? That's the kind of stuff that you use to make a bar graph, as opposed to what size shoes do all the sixth graders wear. Alright, so this is how to make a bar graph. This slide is specifically about what kind of scale you want to use when you're making a bar graph. So first you look at your data. I need you to write all of this down. It's all very important. And then you choose the appropriate scale. The scale is the range of numbers on your graph measured in even intervals. So this is where we need to know the range. So if you look back at this last slide, our range would be 22 minus 2. It would be 20. So we have to get 20 different numbers on this scale, and it would be evenly spaced. So you can't do 2, 5, 11, because there's not the same amount in between each number. It'd have to be like 2, 4, 6. You want to choose an appropriate scale that's not crazy spread apart. If you're only looking at 20 numbers, you wouldn't want to count by tens, because then you'd have 0, 10, 20, and you have to find different ways to put all of the numbers, all the data in there. Okay, the bar graphs would be too similar to each other. For this one, you could probably count by 2s or 1s. When you're getting to very large scales, where you're talking like, you know, your range is 150 or your range is 1,000, then you can start counting by 20s or even hundreds. But if it's a small range, you should have a small scale. Count by 1s or 2s, maybe 5s. Okay? Just make sure that they're evenly spaced. Everything has to be very evenly spaced. We're going to practice making bar graphs. So you label your x-axis with your scale. The x-axis is the scale. The y-axis is the scale, and the x-axis is all the categories you're comparing. So the y-axis is numbers, and the x-axis is all the categories. So for this one, the y-axis would be the number of students, and the x-axis would be red, blue, green, black, or pink. And then you want to make sure the x-axis, the bars are evenly spaced. The categories are evenly spaced as well. Okay, so I want you to actually draw these arrows in your notes so you understand what the x and the y is. So these are the axes. The y-axis runs vertical or up and down, always. The x-axis always runs horizontal or left to right. Okay? Write all of this down. Again, just make sure they're all evenly spaced. Alright, and then this is just general how to make a bar graph. Once you've done all of this and they're evenly labeled, they're evenly spaced, everything looks good, then you actually draw a bar on top of the categories that goes up to the appropriate value on the y-axis. So for this one, 12 students chose red as their favorite color. We know this because red is labeled nice and neatly here on the bottom, and it goes up to 12. blue was 14 students, and it goes up to 14. Now you see how on this one, their range was actually only here to 17, right here between the 18 and the 16, and their lowest value was 11. But they went ahead and gave the scale a little bit of a larger range. So the largest they needed was 17, the lowest they needed was 11. They went ahead and started at 0 so that we could see the nice, clear difference between the bars, and went all the way up to 20. Okay, and then they counted by 2s. And this is perfect. This is exactly what a bar graph should look like. Everything is nice and labeled, everything is evenly spaced, everything is neat and readable. All right, so I want you to try to make a bar graph with this frequency table here. Okay, so vanilla, your categories are vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, and lemon. Your frequency is 13, 4, 10, and 2. Try to make a bar graph, do the best you can. I'll check it tomorrow in class. So pause the video here and go ahead and make this bar graph quickly. Okay, so we're going to talk about circle graphs really quick too. You might hear the circle graphs referred to sometimes as pie charts. Either way is fine, just understand that circle graphs and bar graphs are used to represent kind of the same thing. Alright, so circle graphs on your left, the green writing only on the right of your Cornell notes. Sometimes when we want to compare different categories, we make a circle graph instead of a bar graph. Circle graphs are similar to bar graphs, but they break the categories up into percentages and fractions. So instead of just seeing the different heights of the bars, we actually get to see, okay, this is all of my data, and this little piece of my data is this fraction, and this little piece is this fraction, or this little piece is this percent. Okay, circle graphs are always in fractions and percentages. Each piece of a circle graph represents a part of the whole. So the bigger the pieces, the bigger the part of data it is. It's another way to quickly look at your data and compare the different answers. Okay? Bigger pieces of circle, bigger parts of the data. If the numbers are written as fractions, they have to add up to 1. Because when you're talking about fractions, your whole number is 1, and each little piece is a fraction of the whole. If they're percentages, your whole number is 100%. If you get all of the tests right, 100% of your tests right, you get 100% on the test. Okay? And each little piece is a fraction of that. Alright, so I want you to look at these. This is an example of a pie chart, or a bar graph, and a line. I'm sorry, this is the bar graph, this is the circle graph. I want you to just make a quick little list, similarities, differences, between a circle graph and a bar graph. Just look at them quickly and see, okay, what is similar about bar graphs and circle graphs? What is different about bar graphs and circle graphs? Okay? And then that's all I need you to do for today. We're going to work more with making bar graphs and interpreting bar graphs and interpreting circle graphs. You will probably not have to make a circle graph in my class, but it's something that if you really understand the concept, I'm going to have you do, and it's advanced work. Okay? All right, guys, I'm really excited about Unit 2. I'm excited to get to work with our binders. These notes should be in your binder when you come to show me next time so I can give you a sticker. All right, have a great night. Bye.